Good morning, weather fans. It's Wednesday, March 13th. Dun, dun, dun. Wednesday the 13th is way worse than Friday the 13th. You know why? Because it's not Friday. All right, sorry about no video yesterday. I have an excused absence. On the way, well, actually at work, I was driving from Avoca to Walnut here in western Iowa to pick up the kids for school, and a deer walked into the road right in front of me. And it gave me no choice but to hit it. And it was kind of a mess for the deer. And the car didn't do so well either. The radiator was leaking, busted a headlight, crumpled up part of the hood. The front end's bashed a little bit. One of the quarter panels damaged. Anyway, I had to wait for the superintendent to bring me another vehicle, pick up the kids late, and it gave me a shorter lunch. So no video yesterday, but it's the first time I've ever hit a deer. I don't ever want to do that again. Poor deer. It's a physics problem, don't you know? Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get into the weather because we have some severe weather on tap for today and the next couple days too. And we'll go through your forecast through the weekend as well. And here are your watches and warnings for today. I failed to mention this 2 days ago, but all that heavy rain in the southeast and even the northeast has some river flooding issues still going on through the south into South Carolina and then up there in Massachusetts too, you can see. Meanwhile, in the southern plains of eastern New Mexico, West Texas, and into Oklahoma and a little bit of Kansas, it is a red flag warning once again. So anything that can cause a spark could be a problem here with wildfires spreading quickly. So be careful. Meanwhile, in the Four Corners, we have all kinds of stuff going on. Winter storm watch for parts of Arizona and New Mexico, and also Utah with winter weather advisories. North of that, the north side of Utah into Wyoming, also parts of Colorado, winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. For California, it's mostly wind with either high wind warnings or wind advisories, mostly depending on elevation. The higher the elevation, the stronger your winds are going to be. Not to leave out Nevada with your winter weather advisory, and then up in Montana as well with winter storm warnings or winter weather advisories depending. Or maybe, yeah, those are winter weather advisories, mostly depending on elevation there. I want to show you something I haven't shown on the channel yet, but this is kind of fun. This is the water vapor image. This is the current loop, so the last few hours on the water vapor. And you can see a few things here, hopefully. Let me push this and hopefully nothing disappears. Okay, there we go. So we've got a really strong northerly flow here in the west. So you see some moisture moving down the coast of California. And a little bit of subtropical moisture south of Arizona and New Mexico. But what we're watching are this main trough here, and we have a little bit of a circulation right here moving out of New Mexico into Colorado and Kansas. And later on this afternoon, when we see some more heating, combined with the lift from the low, spreading some cool air over the top of the atmosphere as well, that's going to add to instability. A little bit of circulation, so wind shear, which is different wind directions at different levels of the atmosphere, could cause some tornadoes today. We're talking mostly in Kansas and Missouri, and we'll show you that threat here a little bit later, but severe weather is a possibility later on today and into tonight. So we'll get into that here in just a bit. All right, here's today's surface and showing that possibility of severe weather for basically Missouri, Kansas, parts of Nebraska, perhaps sneaking into Iowa a little bit with that surface low forming in northeastern Kansas. Around that, general thunderstorms for the plains and Midwest down into Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas too. And north of that, it's just regular rain. There you see our critical fire weather possible, eastern New Mexico, West Texas, Oklahoma, a little bit of Kansas. And behind that, we've got that big trough in the west that we just showed you. So it's colder there. A mixture in the Four Corners area with heavy snow, Colorado, Wyoming, a little bit of Utah. And behind that, just general snow for the interior portions of the west, the Intermountain West. And then it's a mixture of rain and snow for Washington and Oregon. So today's highs should reflect that. The cooler temperatures out west, north and west, and the warmer temperatures, the eastern 2/3 of the country, basically the Rockies eastward. Now, the northern plains a little bit cooler, but otherwise, yeah, we're looking at warm temperatures. I mean, mid-80s for parts of Texas. We have some 70s and 80s for southern Arizona, 80s for Florida, much of the south in the 70s, upper 70s, all the way up into North Carolina, mid-70s, Virginia. And after those cold few days in New England, they're warming up. Although 44, still on the cool side for Boston, 40s and 50s, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. All right, highs tomorrow. You can see that being shunted off to the east a little bit, or I should say a little bit more cold air coming into the Midwest. So where today we're looking at near 70, for example, here in western Iowa, mid-50s tomorrow, so a drop-off there. But the warm, soupy air still in Missouri, down through Oklahoma into Texas and the south in the 80s now. 80s even in South and North Carolina. And then Virginia still in the 70s, so warm temperatures east, cooler out west. And the surface for tomorrow shows more severe weather a little further east from today and more widespread than today. So anywhere from southeastern Iowa through Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. And then part of that could see heavy rain with flooding possible getting into Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky even. And then you see a cold front moving through Kansas. What was thunderstorms today could be snow tomorrow. Same for parts of Oklahoma and pretty far south in West Texas. We'll see if that can get down into Lubbock. But if south of that, you're like Midland, Odessa, you're looking at thunderstorms. And thunderstorms for much of Texas into Louisiana and the south. Also Tennessee, Kentucky, further north, the Ohio Valley, into Michigan even. So a lot of thunderstorms on this map. And then on the cold side, a mixture for western Nebraska, western Kansas, eastern Colorado, northern New Mexico and Arizona, Utah and Colorado, but heavy snow, northern New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming, parts of Utah and Arizona as well. And then looking ahead to Friday, you can see our severe weather gets pushed south and east with a cold front. And we're also looking at some heavy rain, flash flooding possible here, East Texas into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, into Tennessee and parts of Georgia, with thunderstorms for the rest of Texas. And then we've got a mixture of rain and snow, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and that's far south in Arizona. Again, at the very first map I showed you, that colder air diving south out of Canada, straight out of Canada, at the deep trough in the west, bringing in that colder air. And then the heavy snow, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. And up in New England, not to be left out, you got northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, with a mix of rain and snow. Let's talk severe weather for today. Here is an enhanced area of severe weather. Now, when we start getting into enhanced, it's more of a dangerous situation. So this severe thunderstorms are likely here. We're likely to see some large hail here. We're likely to see some damaging winds here. And even the yellow around that, the slight risk, there'll probably be some severe storms here as well. And so, Kansas, Missouri is really the greatest risk, but then, further into Missouri, further west in Kansas, and then getting into southeastern Nebraska and just a little bit of southwestern Iowa in that slight risk. Now, the marginal risk, it's marginal, but still a chance for severe weather down from Texas through Oklahoma and then expanding into Illinois. And then the light green is just your general thunderstorms. But what about tornadoes today? As you would expect, where we see the enhanced risk is also where we see our greatest chance for isolated tornadoes today, 5% chance. And that 2% chance dips through Oklahoma, even into Texas. So if you're in this area especially, pay attention to the weather this afternoon and evening with the best chance for that severe weather so that you can get any warnings if there are any. For tomorrow, an expanded area of severe weather And again, we have an enhanced area, this time in Arkansas and parts of Oklahoma, but the slight risk, the yellow area, is greatly expanded. Most of Illinois, parts of Indiana, getting into southeastern Iowa, much of Missouri, the rest of Arkansas, and including Dallas. So you could see some severe weather here. The darker green expands it even further for a few isolated severe storms, and then the light green, of course, is your general storms. And tornadoes tomorrow, yeah, could be. Again, the brown area is that 5% area. So we're talking Arkansas into Oklahoma and a little bit of Texas. And then the green area is your 2% chance, which includes Dallas, and up through Missouri into Illinois, which includes Chicago, includes Indianapolis barely, and Columbus, Ohio barely, and southern Michigan as well. So again, if you're in this area, pay attention to the weather in case there are any warnings, you can get them. And Friday, severe weather continues. Now, just a marginal risk for the south. This is the area we showed you on the surface map that has a risk of heavy rain and flooding possible as well. So pay attention, East Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and a little bit of Georgia just west of Atlanta. And then the light green, your general thunderstorms, a wide area on this map. All right, let me set up my map here, and we'll take a look at, hang on, I'm clicking things wrongly. Is that good grammar? I don't know. All right, let's take a look at the GFS, and we'll go through some of this. So right now, this is 6 o'clock this morning, actually, so a few hours ago. We do see, again, that trough in the west. So the cold air and the light snow, this is closer to the current time. This is noon. Is it noon? Because we had the time, so we jumped ahead an hour. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Time. Noon Mountain Time. There you go. And this stuff is mountain. So in the mountains, scattered snow all the way from Montana, Idaho, through Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona. A little bit of light rain here, Tennessee Valley and Louisiana. And as we get into this afternoon, we're starting to see this low form on the surface. Remember that spin in the atmosphere right here. It's going to form this surface low. We're going to have different wind directions at different heights, so wind shear, and we're starting to see thunderstorms erupt in the afternoon where instability is the greatest. Also, an upper level low spreads cold air on top, so that adds to the buoyancy of the air and the instability. So by this afternoon, we're seeing thunderstorms near Omaha and to the west, Lincoln, and then we're seeing some thunderstorms also in Missouri moving into Illinois. Snow and heavy snow back in the Rockies, Colorado and Wyoming. And we're starting to see more showers and storms into Iowa tonight, and then moving into Illinois towards Chicago. Some pretty good rainers in here too for western Iowa as we get into the day tomorrow. This is tomorrow morning as we see more showers and storms continue. This is much needed rain for the Midwest. We will take it. So as we get to 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, we're starting to see those storms further south, Oklahoma into Texas. Heavy snow continuing for the Rockies of Colorado, but moving into the plains. We talked about that a couple days ago, if I remember right. I said GFS is being consistent about this heavy snow in Colorado and northern New Mexico. Meanwhile, heavy rain in Arkansas, back through Oklahoma into Texas. This would be Thursday afternoon. And some scattered showers with embedded thunderstorms through Illinois into parts of Michigan, northern Ohio, into Pennsylvania as well. A little bit of snow mixing in. Northern Iowa, not too far from Mason City, into Minnesota. And then we see our thunderstorms really getting together here. Illinois through Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma as we approach the middle of the night Friday. So this is late Friday night. Heavy rain, Arkansas, into parts of Missouri, still snowing in the Rockies and east in Colorado, and snow in the Four Corners area, in Mogollon Rim for Arizona and northern Arizona. And then as we get into Friday, this is Friday morning right here. So Heavy rain moving towards Nashville. Pretty good rains coming down in Memphis and Olive Branch and Holly Springs, Grenada Lake, probably getting in on some of this heavy rain, embedded thunderstorms, and that trails back into Texas, still snowing, northern New Mexico, into Colorado, into northern Arizona, parts of Utah. And we've got rain coming down in the northeast with maybe an embedded thunderstorm or two for Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. Heavy rains continuing, Bowling, well, not quite Bowling Green, but Nashville, down into northern Alabama, Birmingham perhaps, northern Mississippi, heavy rain, lighter rain, but embedded thunderstorms for Louisiana, back into Texas, still snowing. Northern New Mexico into Colorado. This is going to be a lot of snow here. And then Four Corners area really seeing the bulk of the snow. And then as we get, this is Friday afternoon, and we see the heavy rain in the south, like we talked about before, also in East Texas. Some big cells there just north of Houston. The rain lightening up finally in the Four Corners, but I mean, that's a good solid 2 days of snow. We see this big storm up here in Canada, and it's a cold one, so a little bit of snow for the UP of Michigan and some of that colder air dipping into the United States here. As that low continues off to the east, we'll see that cold air come in to the Great Lakes, at least parts of New England as well. And we're seeing more thunderstorms here. This is near Corpus Christi, just to the west of Corpus, and moving into Houston. And this would be Saturday night. So this weekend, look for more showers and storms into Texas. Light snow, Colorado, New Mexico. And cold air moving a little further south in the plains, a little further east into New England as we start the day Sunday. So Saturday night, Sunday, that colder air invading into the Midwest, into the Northeast. Still cold enough for snow in northern New Mexico and in Colorado. Heavy rain for Louisiana, into Mississippi, moving into Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, yes, into Georgia, although it's starting to lighten up a little bit. Lighten up, Francis. This is Monday in the morning. And that cold air further south now, cold front moving through Missouri and into Kansas, through Nebraska. It's all the way through Iowa already. So the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and the Northern Plains on the cold side as we start the new work week. And that cold air, let's see how far south it'll go. Getting through Kentucky, moving into Tennessee. This is Monday afternoon. A little bit of light snow for West Virginia, into Pennsylvania, into New York behind this cold air. Looks like it's going to stall out. It gets a little further south into Tennessee, through Kentucky, into northern Tennessee, Virginia, getting into North Carolina. This is not as aggressive as it was 2 days ago, but still pretty far north or pretty far south, right to the North Carolina, South Carolina border with that cold air as it continues to move to the east. That's about as far south as it's going to go as the warm air starts to move back into the plains and the Midwest by Tuesday. So pretty exciting times ahead, especially the severe weather. Be careful today, Kansas, Missouri, tomorrow a larger area, and just stay tuned to where you get your warnings in case there are any. Your trends for precipitation. This is the 20th through the 26th, so getting towards the end of March. Looks like much of the country with above average chances for above average precipitation. A noticeable hole of equal chances of above or below average precipitation for Texas into Oklahoma, parts of Kansas. And temperature-wise, as we end the month, cool for the southeast up into the Tennessee Valley and then the Carolinas. And then warmer than average up in the northwest, poking in to the Intermountain West, all the way into Utah and Colorado and Wyoming. So that's how things look through the weekend and beyond. I really appreciate everyone who tunes in. I just love it. I mean, we're trying to grow this new channel since the first of the year, and we're at 87 likes, 87 subs so far. So we're doing better than one a day on average. So really appreciate that, and thanks for the likes too, and the kind comments. And we'll try it again tomorrow unless I hit a deer. That's not likely. I've only hit one in my whole life, and that was yesterday. Anyway, thanks for tuning in today. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon on the Weather Mic.